Hey guys, it's Valks, and I just want to do a little talking today about the new server and what's happened while we've been in invite only alpha. Currently, we have about a few team members that are currently working on this project. It's been about 4 months, and let's dive into really what we've achieved, what the goal for the server is, and some aspects about the server that people have been frequently asking about. So I just want to cover all that in one good video and then release it to you guys and show you what you can expect more towards 2025. So I'm going to log in. Um, Currently, this is my local test room, so it's just going to be showing the latest things that I've personally been working on. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new character and show you guys how it would actually be working when we got in game. So as you can see, there is no classes. There is champion, and that's kind of lore specific to the player character in World of Warcraft, as it is in lore written, the champions of Azeroth. The player characters come in and kind of wipe the floor with every raid, and it just gives an element of realism back to the game. So it kind of brings all the elements together. Now, you soon come to find out this game does have a lot of things that are changed. There are ways to find that out via playing one of them or just reading. There's a lot of things that are changed, like the descriptions. Fell orcs are a race. I understand women are ugly. We are fixing these things. But Fell Orc male looks pretty sick, and I've been having pretty good fun playing them. The same elements of Orc kind of apply because it's really just we incorporated the lore from how they would even be a thing and kind of put it in here. They don't wear helmets because they believe that it's cowardly in battle. However, you do still wear a helmet. Don't worry, you get your stats. There's a lot of races that are changed. Gremlins are a faction with the trolls and gremlins falling under this gremlin faction of the Darkspear Exiles. Um, it's just a fun little combination to downport goblins from Kata and other expansions to 335. We understand the models are a little quirked right now because we're basing them off trolls. However, it'll get all worked out in time. We are still in open alpha. Like I said, we've only been doing this project a few months now, so we give it to about mid-spring of 2025 before really all of the texture things start getting tweaked out. We're really focusing on the systems and the layout of how the classless aspect of the game is going to work. So let's dive into that, for example. Go ahead and randomize this guy up. I want a ponytail. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get in the game and just show you guys a little bit of the custom stuff that I've been working on personally, because there is fully custom stuff for these camera angles right here, and you'll see. So I'll let you guys see that, and then we can talk about the game.
Once at home, in the jungles of Azeroth, the Darkspear tribe was pushed out by warring factions. Zelruin, the goblin war chief, sought power and glory. His whereabouts are currently unknown. Eventually, the trolls and gremlins befriended the orcish horde, and Thrall, the orc's young war chief, he convinced them to travel with him to Kalimdor. Though they cling to their shadowy heritage, the Darkspear exiles still hold a place of honor inside the horde. It is your duty as allies of the horde to assist them in their missions and find the answers to your troubled past.
If things look a little laggy, that's not because it will be laggy. That's because I'm running 500 things on my desktop currently. But you see, it's a little different. Things are quite a bit different here than they're going to seem in regular WoW or a regular Azeroth. So you would find all that stuff out basically by these tips. It kind of explains the classless aspect of the game. But all you really need to know is it's based off of a trainer that you talk to over there. Every starting zone would have one of those. And then there's a spell unlearner as well, in case you do want to change out your loadout later. Now, I've custom built a couple of add-ons to help with this, such as this forge. This is your spell forge. So as you can see, all of my attacks that I currently know, and I just created this character. So I have quite a few things to pick from. If you want to look at those class by class, you just look in your spellbook. And of course, all of your racials and all of your profession stuff would be in your general tab, and then it's just down from there. So you definitely start out with Death Knight spells as well. But if you can remember, Death Knight isn't really a thing until level 55. So most of the things that you have are based off weapon damage, and will for the first few levels seem a little bit strong. But that's okay. The game is harder as a whole anyway, so you're going to need it. Now, it's not a hardcore realm. There is a hardcore realm that follows the same basic guidelines as this under Classless and all those systems. Now, that's its own separate realm. So if you want to play there, that's awesome. If you don't, you don't have to. The hub server is going to be first released into classic content. Now, what I mean by that is Wrath of the Lich King is definitely a thing, and Northrend's definitely an explorable area and all of that stuff. However, the level cap is going to be locked at level 60. So if you're gung ho and you feel like you can do level 70 and 80 raids at level 60, by all means, go do you. But the level cap for the intro to the beta is going to be level 60, release level 70, release level 80, and kind of test everything out over time, the span of probably a year, and get all of the kinks worked out for every expansion through the guys who actually want to beta test. Now, currently, it's only an invite only thing right now because, as you can see, everything's not finished. There's a lot of zone aspects that need to take place. You might be wondering why we're in Durotar and it's frigid. We'll talk about that in a little while. But I want to talk about the systems right now. So, rage, mana, all of these things you have. If you want to go kill a boar, you're going to start gaining rage. You're going to use energy just like you would as a hunter. You say, I'm gaining rage. Things hurt here. I'm doing a lot of damage here because I have my server for testing isn't tweaked properly as opposed to the live server. So this is just kind of showing some of the changes that I've been working on, like I said. But all of the systems are fully functional for each power type. Runes work, runic power works, mana, all of that stuff for every single ability. It seems to work fine. The rage system and energy system has been tweaked and modified a little bit, as well as the mana actually, just because to make everything classless, there's a lot more elements involved than a lot of people like to give other servers that do this like Ascension credit for. And it definitely is hard to make all of those things work. So at first we were going with the born into your class and be classless aspect, but we're not doing that anymore because of certain limitations for each class. It makes it easier for just general purposes to make one class and give everything that could be available to give a class to that specific class. So that's what we've done with champions because it follows the lore of the player character and it really, like I said earlier, adds an aspect of realism to the server. Now that's what we want here. We want it to feel like an RPG. WoW leveling has never really been the hardest thing, and people deserve a challenging, fresh experience. So what we've decided to do is kind of combine the aspects of multiple RPGs like Baldur's Gate and Monster Hunter type Dauntless games and incorporate them here with what we call the companion system, but it's really built by a great guy named Trickerer. You should go check him out. He's got plenty of open source repositories for people who are developing servers and want to make repacks and things like that. And he's just a great guy, as well as the entire WoW repack community. So I just want to shout them out. You can find them on Discord. They have plenty of YouTube videos around the area too. So definitely check those guys out. They've definitely been a huge inspiration and help for me coming up and doing all of these changes and things. Without those guys, I would still be at step one. So, like I said, that's the shout out portion, but back to the stuff. So we're incorporating a lot of different things. The companion system is where, let me just, I'm on my GM account, so I'll just tell you to order more really fast. Now, the companion system is a system where if you don't like playing with people, or you find that the leveling experience has gotten a little bit rough for your level, maybe you've done all the quests in your certain zone and you want to go do some harder stuff, maybe delve into a dungeon or what have you, but you're feeling a little weak, you can hire NPCs. So you hire classes. These guys are still classes, it's basic warriors, basic hunters, druids, death knights, all that stuff. But you just pay for them. You pay to buy them. They show up here in a second. And then when they do, they're just one of my pals. Hello. So they're not in my group yet, but if I can get them close to me. You gotta walk towards the wall sometimes because they are unpathing. They act like pets. So you just talk to the bot and basically hire him, give him gear, add him to your group when you need him in your group. If you don't want him to follow you around into dungeons and stuff, then you just wouldn't add him to your group. But if you don't want his services anymore, you just dismiss him. And when you do that, they leave. They get a little butthurt at you. And then they basically teleport back to where they were standing in the first place because they're already spawned in quote unquote player characters. And I give them credit. They definitely can do mechanics as long as, you corral them correctly. They technically act like pets. You've seen on their name it said minion, which is exactly what they act like. You pretty much gear them up just like you would one of your buddies. You would run a dungeon with them, and then they would need a piece of gear, and they can't loot it themselves because they're a bot, but you will loot it for them. And that's pretty much that whole system. So if you like the aspect of being able to go and level like a JRPG, or a game like Baldur's Gate where you have multiple companions that you have to worry about statting up and allocating stuff for them as well, it's gears unlocked, so they can wear whatever. You can gear them up stat allocation wise, whatever, with the gear that you're placing on them. So it's a really fun system that adds a lot to what Tricker gave us, and I'm glad that he released all these. So these are different than player bots. These are technically NPC bots, but they act in a way of players. So for the sake of that, we just call them bots. But that's not the only feature that's here. A lot of these things, like the custom trainer, the spell swapper NPC, a lot of these guys over here, these are fully custom. I've written about 32 custom Lewis scripts to fix a lot of issues that Trinity Core has not delved into yet, like rage and a couple animation fixes and things like that. Because I'm using an old version of Trinity Core that met my needs a little better than some other cores. So it's basic with a lot of Lua C++ modules involved that are, some of them open source projects that many of people have seen and used and copied or whatever. But I like to do things fresh, and I want to make sure everything's working properly. So by that, I've really just been writing most of the stuff myself, and it's seemingly worked a lot easier than that. Rage is working fluidly. There's no combat bugs. Um, there was one where auto shot and auto attack being learned together was causing things to kind of just bug out for the game when you didn't have a target. But one Lua fix later in here, it's fixed. So every week there's about 5 or 6 things that are getting fixed, and currently we've got all the systems pretty much working. The classless system is looking like this right now. It's kind of wonky. I understand. It just is a visual thing because, limitations. But it's working, and the only thing that's really wrong with it is a couple of Death Knight IDs are wrong, so they're disabled, but they will be added soon. The Spellforge, like I said, you've already seen that, is working pretty well. This is working amazingly. All the other systems that are involved, there's a lot of custom, like, new additions, like the religion system. And I definitely want to implement a different type of Mythic Plus system where you can not only do Mythic Plus, but you can definitely do, like, raid trials and stuff as well. But a similar thing from that. It's kind of like you go and do the raid trial, and then you can +1 it, +2 it, +3 it, like World of Warcraft is. Now, there's a lot of things that we're going to be adding from Blizzard's newer expansions just to quality of life it up in here. Because while there is a lot of quality of life stuff here, like move anything, and of course you can add your own custom add-ons if you wanted to. I just want to make it for the player easy to play the game. I want him to understand what we're going for here. You already start off with a lot of skills. You already start off with pretty much all of your class skills because that's how you're able to learn all your spells from the trainer. And then you can, weapon proficiencies and gear, all of that stuff, like glyphs, are unlocked. So, for example, like, I'm not the right level currently, but if I was to level up to, let's say, 25, a bunch of things pop up whenever you gain levels and kind of explain the game to you, so it's not super foreign, because it's very simple, it's very streamlined, but this is a different game and different than what people are used to. And like we say, it's right now in alpha, so there's a lot of things that will be changed, there's a lot of things that will be revisited, and this is just the basic layout of what we're going for, the goal, and things like that. So you might see the Lich King here. I'll explain him in a minute, but talk about glyphs. So you pretty much use glyphs, your spells, and your talent tree to combine and make a loadout. And that's it. That's all it is, man. You have all of your choices. The normal things that wouldn't stack don't. The normal things that would stack would, and things are going to be balanced to cope for that instead of changing everything all around. A couple of stats have been revisited. Expertise is probably not going to be needed at all because there's so many different dodge slash parry slash defense options that it really doesn't seem necessary. So we're going to do away with expertise. Glyphs, pretty simple, man. Instead of the talent specialization stuff, you just click this button, man, and if you have dual spec learned, you'll swap glyphs, but that's all you need that for because this is your specialization. If you want to do anything with your talents, it's going to be in this menu, and you just access it normally within, just like you would the regular talent menu. Oh, or the book. There's definitely an icon right here for your talent forge, just in case you ever do want to know how many pills you got left, or if you want to know how many, things you can a lot, then you can definitely go down there and do that. The Lich King standing here, he has a quest,
Is not your own.
custom quest line type stuff. He's really just kind of taunting everybody because we wanted Wrath of the Lich King
In my name.
to feel like everybody was really in the world at that time doing what should have been happening. The Lich King was spreading his Scourge army upon the entire world, not just Northrend. So every zone should be customized snowily. Snowy. I don't know if snowily is a word, but zones should look different. The Scourge should be coming onto the world and doing stuff. Like there should be Death Knight architecture. There should be Death Knight soldiers. There should be all kinds of stuff happening in the world, just like when Cataclysm happened, the world maps completely got revamped and rechanged and redid. So that being said, there's a lot of zones that we have already added, like this. If I can teleport. Well, I can't spell either. I really can't spell. Okay, so like I said, Highjaw is custom area. It's not snowy here yet because I've only done a few. We're adding those slowly. But it's got a full quest chain that takes you all the way through level 70, level 80, takes you in here. This custom version of the Emerald Dream. It's kind of, basic right now, but we've definitely added a lot of things, man. There's a whole quest chain that takes you in here to talk to Malfurion. Guide you really through level 70 and level 80 content in a new, fresh way. So it gives the player more. It's quite a bit. It's an expansive quest line. It's about 30 to 40 quests long. There's a few more quest lines down in the South Sea Islands that have a lot to do with the Gremlin faction that's been added and kind of explains a lot of the things, why people are upset at them, why the Horde doesn't really recognize Zell Ruin as a true faction leader. A lot of things are happening in the world, and this is a different timeline. There was a time fracture when we went back in time to stop Archimonde from suck-plucking the world tree, and nobody ever really explains it. What happens when you go back in time and you change the events of history? You would assume that the outcome would be vastly different from what really did happen. So in this Azeroth, it opens up so many possibilities because that's the point for the plot we're using. We like the aspect that the time we went back in time as player characters and stopped Archimonde. But wouldn't that cause a lot of things to just be inconsistent in the future? In our minds, it would. So we really want to revamp the entire Wrath of the Lich King expansion, cap the level out, kind of baseline. Once everybody does get into the Wrath of the Lich King, we would obviously release Classic first, then we would release the Burning Crusade, and then once Wrath is released, keep that live for a good while, add some custom content, and then the max level cap is always going to stay 80. And we just keep adding content to it, and then revamping and readjusting and squishing and making content fresh and adding new things, and just keep a live service based classless version of Wrath of the Lich King. And that all is our goal. We really just want a fresh option that's classless, that truly is classless, without any spec or build or anything like that telling you have to use certain spells to proc other spells, or this and that and this. The only limitations you have is what Blizzard gave us in the beginning, and we use those as building blocks here to build your own build. You can swap racial traits if you wanted to. You definitely could play a gremlin race, and you could use the gnome 5% intellect buff to buff your hunter stuff if you wanted to become like a gremlin hunter type build that used poisons or auto shot, fast, hasty build, or what have you. There's so many options, and we really want players to be able to break the game in a sense. That way we can balance it out, buff up the underperforming specs, and then balance it out as a whole instead of nerfing one thing and nerfing one spell to the ground so one spec isn't usable, but this other one that's similar does twice the damage. And that's insane, and that's not how you balance a game, and it makes work harder for the developers. So, in my experience, when I've been doing this, balancing is not really that hard as long as you stick to good percentages that are similar and you just run with it. You know, you just look for what's outlying and you just fix it. Like you buff up everything really to meet that, and then tweak if something's crazy above the rest of the package and shouldn't be, then you fix that. But you don't nerf the spec to the ground. You put it back at the baseline that it should be at, and then people can't be mad about it. And there's nothing worse than when you play a game and you play and find a spec that you really love and you've worked hard on building it, and then I come out of nowhere with my choices, changing your specs one spell and nerfing it to the ground where it only does 30% of the original damage. And now your spec is worthless because it depends 100% on buffing that spell as your main damage. And you got to find a new spec after that. And players don't like that. Players don't want to have to find new stuff all the time. They just want what they chose in the beginning to work. And that's our goal here. We don't want a lot of bugs. We have very minimal bugs. Every bug that we have currently is visual. And that's something I'm proud of. So we're going to keep working on the server. We're going to have everything really launched for beta for other people to be able to create accounts and stuff like that mid spring 2025, so about 3 months maybe. And really, there's only, the way that you can see our progress right now is Discord. I'll be releasing some YouTube videos and posting them in some servers just in case any of you guys want to hear me ramble about stuff. But that's our goal. That's pretty much in a sense, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be releasing it, like I said, at that time. I've got about 40 people. Well, that's exaggeratory. I've got about 25 to 30 people currently that are in the invite-only alpha with me, and they play on the server occasionally and test things and throw bugs my way. So if there are other people that definitely would like to be a part of this early on and see and be a part of something great, like try to add what you know. If you know anything about the game, if you know about one aspect that could be changed that you've had ideas on, I'm open to ideas. There's so many things. This is a very very early stage of our alpha, so we've really only got the framework, if that makes sense. We're really looking for a lot of things to happen in the game, and we don't really know exactly what directions all of them are going to take, but we know what we have as the main whole goal, and we have a definite plan for the near future for about a year on, just to finish out what we've got planned. And like I said, the server will probably ready to be launched for beta then, and as we go on, people can definitely just go ahead and add bug reports or just comments in general about what you feel like the server should hold. And that's really the only way it can grow, So we really appreciate the guys who have stuck around and watched and tried to help and be a part of the development team and stuff like that. So it's just a blessing. I do this for you guys. Like, we definitely do this because I want to create a product that is a different option than the only one on the market right now. There's only one classless server, and if you want to play classless, you have to play that, and they use that to their advantage and kind of bully people into A, spending money, which is scummy, and then B, it's kind of pay to win in some aspects. In PvP, like, if you got the enchants, you got this, you got that, like, it is what it is. So the gold market over here won't be like that. It's not going to be microtransaction city, but I definitely have the option to donate because that's how we survive. That's how the project moves along. There are overhead costs. The server costs money to run. It costs money to host it. It definitely costs money to do all these things. Now, I don't want people to donate yet because we're definitely not even in the big, we're in the very beginning. So it's just what I'm saying. Like, there are costs that come along with running the server, especially if it does get popular. Then we start talking about thousands and thousands, and there's a lot of things. So it's not a money grab. It's just that's how it has to be. Like, Ascension has to make all that money because they have to keep the server running if they want players to have a good, enjoyable experience. And the same here. That's what we're doing it for, is you guys. So, when you do play and you do give feedback, remember that it all is for you guys anyway. So if it's a good idea, try to be easy on the development team. It's a small one right now, but we're getting stuff done, and it's a very competent team. And as you guys can see, I mean, you haven't seen very much, but if you join the Discord, you'll see a lot more. So I'll leave that link down in the description if you guys want to join that. And I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble for about 20 minutes about this stuff. I'm going to get a lot more updates posted. We've got a couple of patches out already. All the files and stuff can be handled on the website. You can get all that info from our Discord and stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm just going to kind of show you guys what I can show you over the next few weeks and months through these videos. And I appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. And, like I said, just join, give some feedback. If you want to like and subscribe on this so we can spread out to more viewers, that'd definitely be awesome, because I want to offer this to the players. I want to give this back, and a lot of people have given me a lot of tools to be able to use and trusted me with this server to be able to make it a good thing. So let's make it a good thing. I appreciate you guys watching, man. Y'all have a good one, okay?